Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look at something many find intriguing, but it's also intensely private. Tom Cruise's relationships with his three children, Isabella, Connor, and Suri.
Yeah, and you shared that May 2024 article, Inside Tom Cruise's Relationship with Kids Isabella, Connor, and Suri.
Exactly. And our goal here is really to try and move beyond just the headlines, the speculation, and understand what the information actually tells us, or maybe suggests, about these family dynamics.
Right, because this article, it does a pretty decent job, I think, of pulling together different threads, from various reports, bits from old interviews, those rare public sightings we hear about.
Yeah, the sightings are really rare now.
Totally. So it gives us a chance to maybe trace how his approach to fatherhood, at least the public face of it, seems to have shifted quite a bit over the years.
And for our listeners,
Hmm.
folks who want the key insights without getting lost in all the gossip, this is for you. We'll highlight the main points, try to give some context.
Context is key here.
Okay, so let's start back at the beginning then. The article mentions a 2006 Vanity Fair interview. Tom's views on being a dad sound really, really enthusiastic back then.
Oh, definitely. He said things like his kids could always depend on him, that you can't give a child too much love. Very strong statements.
It paints a picture of someone really committed and, well, very open about it too. Publicly open.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? When you think about that period, his marriage to Katie Holmes, you saw them all the time with young Suri. Loads of photos.
Constantly. Paparazzi shots, magazine covers.
Exactly. And that very visible family life, it really contrasts sharply, with how things look now.
It does feel like two completely different chapters almost.
Yeah, like two distinct phases in his public fatherhood journey.
So the article really hammers this point home. A big shift happened. As the kids got older, and definitely after the divorce from Katie in 2012, he seems to have pulled way back on sharing anything about them publicly.
Oh, massively. Now, like you said, any public sighting, even just a glimpse, it becomes huge news, generates a ton of buzz online.
Which makes you think, right, what's behind that increased privacy?
Well, you have to wonder. I mean, partly maybe it's just the kids getting older, becoming teenagers, adults wanting their own space away from that intense spotlight. That seems natural.
Sure, that makes sense.
And, the fallout from a really high-profile divorce, the media scrutiny must have been immense. Maybe it was also a deliberate effort to shield them from all that negativity.
Protect them. Yeah, okay. Let's maybe focus a bit on Isabella and Connor, his older kids with Nicole Kidman, adopted during their marriage.
Right. Isabella born 92, Connor in 95. And the article notes they do lead pretty private lives, generally speaking.
Though their social media sometimes catches the eye.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah.
But what really jumped out, for me anyway, was that photo mention from December 2023. Tom seen with both Isabella and Connor at a hockey game.
Oh, yeah. That was quite something.
It really was. And the fact it took ages for that picture to even surface widely online just shows how rare those public moments together are. The article says their last public thing as a trio was, 2009?
Wow, 2009. That's a long time. Apart from maybe a paparazzi shot in 2010 that apparently had Suri in it, too.
Yeah, so the hockey game photo was significant.
And the article also brings up Isabella's wedding in London back in 2015. Pretty private, and famously, neither Tom nor Nicole attended.
That definitely caused a stir at the time. Lots of questions asked.
Yeah, loads of speculation.
For sure. But, it's complex. Their absence fueled all that talk. But Isabella herself apparently spoke out later, saying, look, they're my parents. We communicate.
Right. So the reality might be different from the public perception.
Often is, isn't it? It highlights that gap. And the article mentions Connor, living in Miami. He's a musician, a DJ, shows they're on their own paths.
And Nicole Kidman's view is interesting, too. She talks fondly about them, acknowledges they chose to live with Tom after the divorce, their Scientology connection.
Yeah, she seems to frame it as, her job as a mother is just to love them, whatever choices they make.
Which sounds like a very accepting perspective on co-parenting adult children who have their own lives, their own beliefs.
It does. It suggests that enduring maternal connection. And Connor apparently has also said publicly he loves his mom, their relationship is strong, so the bonds seem to be there, just private.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit then to Suri, his daughter with Katie Holmes, born in 2006. As the article points out, and as we remember, she was super visible when Tom and Katie were married.
Oh, incredibly visible. Those early years, she was probably one of the most photographed children in the world.
Then the divorce in 2012, and boom, a huge change.
Totally. She's lived mainly with Katie in New York since then, and mostly out of that intense media spotlight.
Right, and because of that privacy, there's been endless speculation about Tom's relationship with her. How much contact is there, really?
Hmm. And that speculation definitely kicked up a notch recently, with reports she didn't use his last name, Cruz, in her high school graduation program. Listed as Suri Noel, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that reported. The article mentions Tom's 2013 deposition, though. This was related to a lawsuit, I think.
Yes, against media outlets. He was addressing claims he'd abandoned Suri.
And what did he say?
Well, he admitted he hadn't physically seen her for a stretch, like a few months, because he was filming overseas, but he strongly denied abandoning her. Said he called her every day
Called her daily.
and described her as, a happy, confident kid. His point was basically that divorce changes things, schedules are different, arrangements are different. It doesn't automatically mean abandonment.
So he was pushing back hard against that narrative.
Very hard. Took legal action, which really shows how protective he is or wants to be perceived about that relationship and how it's portrayed. Wants to control that story.
Meanwhile, it seems Katie Holmes is really focused on giving Suri a stable, more normal childhood in New York.
Yeah, the article suggests her priority has been Suri's well-being, keeping things grounded, maybe innocent is the word they use, shielding her.
And there's that nice little detail about Suri actually contributing vocals on a couple of Katie's film projects.
Yeah, that's a lovely touch, isn't it? It gives you a little peek into their life, suggests that close bond, that creative connection still happening within their immediate family unit.
So, beyond the specifics of each child, the article also touches on Tom's general attitude towards privacy as they've all grown up. He seems way more guarded now.
Definitely. He tends to avoid talking about them in public these days. Very different from that early enthusiasm.
And that 2012 interview quote they pulled is interesting. He said his priority was spending time with family, creating good times, suggesting maybe that's why he's so guarded now.
Could be. Like, protecting that private family time is the main goal, so he doesn't engage with what he sees as, invasive or just plain wrong reporting.
And like you said, he's not afraid to bring in the lawyers if he feels a line's been crossed, especially about the kids.
Absolutely. That protective stance is clear.
Okay, so if we try to pull this all together, what's the big picture look like? It feels like a real evolution, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely a shift. From that very open, enthusiastic dad in the early days to someone who now seems to fiercely guard his family's privacy.
So the relationships with Isabella and Connor, they seem ongoing, but very much under the radar. Those rare public moments are significant because they're rare.
Exactly. Ongoing but private seems a fair summary. With Suri, it's still more ambiguous in the public eye. Lots of speculation persists.
But his past actions, the legal stuff, the deposition statements, they do point to him caring about her well-being, even if the day-to-day looks different post-divorce.
Right. It's framed within that context of co-parenting after a separation.
It really highlights just how much we don't see when it comes to celebrity families, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So much happens behind closed doors.
Oh, absolutely. We only ever get tiny glimpses filtered through media reports or planned appearances.
What do you make of the different levels of visibility? Isabella and Connor, mostly low-key. Suri, initially very high-profile, then much less so.
It's interesting. You have to wonder how much is driven by the kids themselves as they get older. Maybe Isabella and Connor just naturally preferred less attention.
Could be.
And Suri's initial visibility, well, that was tied to a specific time, Tom and Katie's relationship being very public. Perhaps after the split, there was a conscious decision, maybe by both parents in different ways, to give her more privacy growing up.
That makes sense. It leads to that final thought, really.
Okay.
Thinking about Tom Cruise's early, very vocal stance on fatherhood, and then this intense privacy later on. It really gets you thinking about the sheer difficulty of having any kind of normal family life under that constant, relentless spotlight.
Yeah, how do you even navigate that? Trying to maintain real, meaningful connections when every little thing can be twisted or reported on.
Is total privacy even possible? Or, I don't know, even desirable when you're that famous?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It really is. A lot to chew on there, thinking about fame, family, and the choices people make under extraordinary pressure. Something to definitely reflect on after this deep dive.